institution associated with our activities since its young day. Why young day? I should say since its childhood. Do you know he was born in a place, in a village, which is very near to the birthplace of Swami Premanandaji Maharaj.
Most revered Swami Gitatmanandaji Maharaj, Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, Shivodanandaji Maharaj, other monks, brahmacharis, teachers, and beloved students. I remind one thing that Swadeshe Pujyate Raja Vidyan Sadbotra Pujyate. So I am here really honored that students are giving me the chance to divulge what I did for last 30 years, and I'll try my level best to tell you in a very colloquial words, but to give you the glimpse of scientific flavor, I intentionally put some interesting slides so that you will go through whether you will understand or not, but exposure these slides will help you in the future for interest in science as a career. And it's really honor for me that looking the whole auditorium, I'm really so much amazed that the rapt attention you are really offering to me to listen my lectures. The topics, I think it's audible to you right now? Oh, so it's sorry, here, okay. So the impact of mental stress on human health, and it's a huge field, it's difficult to cover all. But what I'd like to tell, that I would like to zoom my interest for giving you in detailed deliberations of the impact of mental stress on gastric intestinal system. That is it's the first brain, and we have another brain, that is the gastrointestinal system, called the second brain, because the qualities, the composition, what are present in the first brain, all are present in the stomach. And the biggest problem in stress, when first brain is affected, second brain will be first affected. And I'll let you know the beautiful story, and why I'm very much interested. When I was reading MSc in Calcutta University, I saw many lunatic persons, they're lying around the pavement, mad. They're eating rotten rice and very putrefied food, but they do not have any gastric problem. But those who are very much sophisticated, taking always purified food, they are having stomach problem. So then what's the reason behind it? Why mad people is not having the gastric complications? I started so many mad people going here and there. Then I observed that the mad people is not having any problem in gastric complications or gastric hyperacidity, gastric ulcers. So what's the reason? So mad people are not having any stress because they do not have any mind. So then during that MSc classes I started, when I will get a chance to do research, then I will think about you and to discuss and to identify the reason behind it. So the impact of mental stress on gastropathy or gastric ulcer, and the gut-brain axis and mitochondria relation in stomach. And then I will let you know the one beautiful small subcellular body present in all cells. Suppose we are talking, we are walking because of energy. In each cell, there is a body called mitochondria. This mitochondria is giving energy. So when you are in stress, this mitochondria is affected, and thereby during stress you will be very weak. Suppose exams are coming, so then immediately you first face that you have some stomach problem. Suppose you have given a chance to deliver a lecture on a dais. The first problem you will feel hyperacidity. Some of your close nearest relative, when admitted to hospital, and doctors are reporting that the condition is very bad, then whole of your family will first face problem of gastric hyperacidity. That's called stress-related mucosal disorders. In all ICU patients, that's why they have given to block gastric acid secretion. So all these things, raw materials, and they started, what's the molecular mechanism behind it, the science behind it. So the stress, anxiety, depressions are common mental health conditions that can significantly impact one's well-being and quality of life. It's the body's response to your demand. Stress is not bad. And intelligent people must have stress. Without stress, one cannot be intelligent. But when it is beyond control, then it goes to develop pathology. So body's response to demand or a challenge, whether real or perceived. Stress can result from various factors such as work pressures, financial difficulties, relationship issues, and major life changes. Anxiety is characterized by excessive worry. The difference between stress and anxiety: fear or apprehension about future events or situations, often accompanied by physical symptoms of tension. And the depression, stress, anxiety, depression, in science we used to call the SAD. Stress, anxiety, depression. The SAD system is creating a person very bad, and sometimes a person very intelligent. So what happens? Depression is a mood disorder characterized by persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in activities that were once enjoyed. The increasing stress, anxiety, and depression level in post-COVID era. The COVID has given a very bad dimension to the whole society. The stress level is increased. That's called, the whole world is post-COVID world is a stressful world. Economic uncertainty, constant exposure to pandemic-related news, lockdown, social distancing, uncertainty of the future health concern, then rising depression, social isolation, economic instability. So, the COVID-19 and stressors, you will find the stress here, death in family, fear of infection, reduced income, high workload, social tensions, occupants in isolation. So these are the avenues in COVID, the stresses were generated. Pandemic's impact on mental health of Indian youth. The whole world organization, WHO, estimate about 5% of Indian population suffers from depression and about 3% suffer from anxiety. And WHO, they calculated after COVID, it increased by 25% globally. A follow-up data published in April 2023 establishes that the pandemic impact of mental health of youth and women was disproportionately higher than their counterparts. Now the question is that why in female? Because is there any role? Because the body, I am talking about this one, it is very interesting. The small body within the cell, those who are reading life sciences, then you will find in cell the body called mitochondria. So the link of mitochondria and the female. So there are two types of major stress, chronic and acute. Acute stress is very short term and chronic is never ending and inescapable, like the stress of a bad family life, persistent disease, on an extremely taxing job, chronic and childhood trauma. So two kinds of stresses. You will find that the worry and anxiety linked to high IQ. Those who are having high intelligent quotient, IQ, so bad news for the highly intelligent. Studies found that higher IQ is associated with more mental illness, including depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorders. Highly intelligent people are 83% more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety. So really fantastic thing, I can tell you. So now the question is that who are intelligent persons in the world? So we did lot of studies. So mindful and non-mindful individuals, In the last 39 of his 76 years of life, Albert Einstein suffered from chronic illness, and main problem is gastric complications. Actually, we collected those very intelligent people to understand the status of their stomach. Then Aristotle, he is suffering from huge gastric complications. Then Newton, experiencing digestion problem and had to drastically change his diet and mobility. In March 9, 1727, Newton experienced severe pain in his abdomen and back out. So the stomach problem, acidity and the gastric complications are associated with highly intelligent people. So thinkers, political leaders, celebrities, but there is no gastric complication in persons of mad and lunatic nature. So this was the interesting fact. So then the major problem of gastric complication, the new disease called affluenza. Affluenza means influenza and affluency. If you merge it, called affluenza. The affluenza is the socio-medical aspects. So over ambition and desire, junk food like fast food, what we are eating, xenobiotics, sedentary life, and it causes stress and depression. And the post-traumatic injury, burn, critical ill patient, this thing, stress, depression and anxiety. What they are leading, that is 7.5% of Indian population. Because of suffering from the gastropathy, because of the affluency, endemic of overconsumption, high desire, consumption and dissatisfaction. 75% Americans, stress-related mucosal disorders is more than 75% in ICU patient, and mucosal bleeding in 40 to 50% is mortality. So it's very severe problem. Now the question is that the gut feeling. Is a big person, Emerson Mayer, he described the gut is in fact a theater in which the drama of emotion plays out. This is the first brain. When there is a problem, it is second brain. And the spectacle in the second brain, second brain is watching and reflecting. If there is a defect in the first brain, it will see and it will reflect very mechanistically. So this is a system. Now the question is that stress, depression, anxiety, and it will create pain. Pain will damage your gut wall. Then you will take again and again. So the gut-brain axis and mutual influence cycle. If you are in stress, your gastric will be very much bad, and then gastric complication again will affect your brain. This cycle will go on. Now the question is that, and depression, pain, medications, drug abuse, a vicious cycle. So they will start taking capsule and the whole body will be made up of capsule. So this is the way of how mental stress is making a person with full of capsules. So we have to take capsule to take care of nerve, to take care of muscle, to take care of heart, to take care of gut. So a stressful candidate man is having a lot of consumption of capsules and the body will be made up of like that. The stress, the mechanism, just if you look it, you will find this is the problem. If you are in stress, so then the gut movement will be decreased, and in gut there is still huge growth of bacteria, and your blood vessel will be constricted, and then your stress will make a lot of secretion of neurohormone. So your whole body will liberate so many molecules, and these molecules are very much, you will later on understand that called serotonin, histamine, dopamine, tryptamine. These are all amino acid amine, and these amine will affect your whole body, and they are forming the mind. Sometimes they are called mind forming molecule. So now the impact of stress on gut, microbiota access. So if you are in continuous stress, stomach mitochondria will be too much reduced, or there should be something, dysbiosis of different pathological bacteria will go over growth. So that's why the stress is controlling, and the whole stomach is controlling the whole metabolic pathways later on. The pathological consequence of the disruption of brain and gut microbiota axis, and then how it affects the gut-brain axis, and then again how it prevent to absorb molecules. Suppose we are getting some good foods in stress, whatever the amount you are getting, the stomach will not absorb perfectly. So a patient will be a malabsorption patient because of the intestine is under stress, will not properly function. So disruption of brain gut microbiota axis as the potential cause of irritable bowel syndrome. Political leaders, celebrities, intelligent people, you will find they are having IBS called irritable bowel syndrome, because mental stress will affect the motility of intestine, and if motility is affected, so then bowel will be very much disturbed. So we recently summarized that this is the stomach and this is the intestine, and in whole cases stress and anxiety, improper diet elevated this huge signaling, and that affects this system of stomach and intestine. Now understand how it affects, because being a scientist we are very much keen to understand what is the mechanism behind it. So the pinpoint the stress response factors transmitting the cytodamaging signals, identify key intracellular machinery, and to identify possible, what Maharaj told, precaution to be taken to stay away from stress. So by this way, we started to design a molecule. I cannot introduce stress to human. So what we did, we use an animal called rat. So rat psychology, if you put rat at 4 degrees centigrade in cold room, in a tired condition, rat will experience mental stress. So then we started, what are the molecular events happening in stomach during the stress condition. This is the model. So rat was placed by this way, and after 3 hours, we opened the stomach. What you observe that, in that case, is bleeding and ulcer. This was not exposed in room temperature, but this was exposed to temperature at 4 degrees. And then huge injury index. So mental stress can create gastric ulcer in animal model. Then we started understanding that how it happens. So then we dislocate the formation of mind by a drug called diazepam. These are the drug that will induce sleep, and this is the olanzapine, one kind of drug. This drug will not allow to develop stress. So if in rat, because of stress there is gastric ulcer, application of these 2 drugs is preventing the generation of gastric ulcer. We got the point. So by this way, we identified that this is really because of stress. Then we applied one molecule we used to call painkiller. We used to use aspirin, Disprin, acetyl salicylic acid. This is the molecule, paracetamol like molecules we use to treat for pain and hypyrexia. So these also can produce, but these induced ulcers are not produced, prevented by this neurotransmitter blocker like olanzapine or diazepam. So that concludes that during mental stress in rat, gastric ulcer is formed. Now the question is that the reason for gastric injury in stress, is there any role of mitochondria?
800 to 2500 mitochondria in each cell, and the mitochondria, they are coming from my mother's, all mothers are giving mitochondria to each cell, and so mitochondria is coming from mother and producing ATP, and if we consume any food, this food will convert it into ATP in mitochondria by the system. So what will happen? So this is the system, you see this is the electron system present in mitochondria. Whenever you will be, then you will understand. So many Nobel laureates, they pass time to understand the electron is flowing and how ATP is generated. So these are the guys. So now in our body, 3 into 10 to the 18 molecules of ATP is produced per second, and the brain uses, the body produces and makes approximately 70 kilogram of ATP daily. Per day 70 kilogram ATP is produced, but the body weight is 60. That means all ATP is consumed. That's why there is a gaining of age. The weight is not increased. 70 kilogram ATP is produced per day, and it can boil 2.44 kilogram of water. Look, very nice thing that this ATP is consumed by our body for running so many reactions. So that's why ATP is produced. Now the question is that what is this? 1 teaspoon of sugar of 5 grams contains 20 calories of energy, and 1 teaspoon of sugar from about 3.6 into 10 to 23 molecules of ATP. So 1 teaspoon sugar is good enough to produce heavy. We are always taking huge amount of food, we do not need it, because the ATP produced by this 1 teaspoon of sugar is good enough. Now the question is that this is very interesting. The energy is coming from solar system. The sun ray, the photon, is trapped by a molecule called chlorophyll in plant. Human cannot trap the photon. The chlorophyll then, by running the photosynthesis system, then produce energy. This energy is then stored in a food. We consume food. Then food, after digestion, again produce a molecule called electron-rich molecule. And this electron-rich molecule then pass through mitochondria and they produce ATP. So every day, in fact, we are eating sun and whole energy. And if you add some cyanide to the dye, potassium cyanide, it will die. That means the cyanide will not allow electron to flow in the mitochondria, and then ATP will not be produced. So the question is that all the time we should pay respect to sun because the photon is ultimately the source of energy. So then we identified that during mental stress, this mitochondrial electron transport chain is not working. It is not producing ATP. And if there is no production of ATP, you will not feel to walk, if you don't feel not to talk. So that's why mental stress affects at the molecular level to block the flow of electron in electron transport chain in mitochondria and thereby arresting the generation of ATP. So what is serious problem is, we did lot of experiments by doing and then we identified this microscope, in this microscope, the person who discovered it got Nobel Prize in 2015, and you can see your naked eye in that microscope. If you go for a good laboratory, the mitochondria is dancing, and this dancing mitochondria is allowing to generate ATP by allowing the electron flow. So it looks like this one. So then what we did, how this ATP generation is being prevented, one machine right now called to identify the nucleic acid called DNA, how DNA is functioning to mRNA, and then how it is producing protein. The machine called sequencing machine. By sequencing machine, we identify if there is a defect, what are the proteins are not synthesized, what are the protein is defective. So by this way, we identify that gene problem is there during mental stress. So by this we identified this thing, and all these things, so that if we block perception of stress, what about the treatment with the stress is like that. So by going through, we identified a plant called magnolia, and this magnolia plant is containing a molecule called honokiol. This honokiol is preventing the familiarization of stress in pathology. So what happens during stress? When first brain is affected, it liberates a hormone-like molecules, and this hormone is activated called glucocorticosterone. This corticosterone then going to mitochondria and instigating mitochondria not to work. So then, if we arrest during mental stress that interaction of corticosterone with mitochondria, then new drug will come. So with this mission, we identified a molecule called honokiol that prevent interactions. So this is a diazetam and olanzapine prevent stress induced mitochondrial pathology. Diazetam, olanzapine, they are all stress neutralizer, prevented all these things. So now the signal we identified that this is very vital, that a collaboration with sense organ perception and reflex mind forming molecule. So hypothalamus in brain, they actually sense the stress, and then after that they allow the anterior pituitary to liberate a hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and that glucocorticoid, and then again it activates. So brain chemistry and mood, when it comes to happiness, in particular the primary signaling chemicals include serotonin, dopamine, endorphin, and oxytocin. So imbalance of this mind forming molecule during mental stress is affecting the mitochondria to generate. So it's what a serious problem. If there is no ATP, then this is the mother of all diseases. Whatever the disease we are expecting because of stress, because of this effect. Then what we did, then we started by using a molecule called mifepristone. This mifepristone will not allow corticosterone to interact with mitochondria. Application of this molecule is preventing gastric ulcer even in presence of stress, because you cannot avoid stress. So this kind of drug are very much popular right now. So if you allow first this molecule and then if you experience stress, the whole body will be free from stress mediated abnormalities. So same thing, Ru48, the drug what I am talking about, also rescue dysfunction of electron transport chain and mitochondrial pathology, So, if there is something problem, so that what happens, electron is coming out. Then electron is coming out and this electron is forming mitochondrial reactive oxygen species. So what happens, a time will come, the whole body will produce lot of molecules which are very much oxidative. That's why people are recommending to consume antioxidants. If you use antioxidants like presenting fruits, colored fruits, citrus fruits, so then it will happen in mental space, the liberation of electrons will be scavenged by this antioxidant that will preventing the defect in mitochondria. So this is the molecule we identified and we have published all these things very nice papers. So this we identified also by this, look, this is the mitochondria and this is nucleus. And this mitochondrial nucleus level is so high, and then you identify that during stress there is a seizure that chop mitochondria and thereby not allowing mitochondria to work properly. This is called mitochondrial abnormal fusion dynamics in mental stress. So by this way you also identified this thing. So how about using mitochondria targeted small molecules? So in overall thinking that in mental stress, to avoid all stress related disorders because of defect of electron transport chain, we have to have some molecule which will go inside mitochondria and going inside they will scavenge electrons, and this electron scavenging effect will be helpful to avoid stress induced pathologies. So in this way we use this kind of molecule called MDB, and this was injected in rat, and then this rat was exposed to cold room at 4 degrees. Those who are not treated, one group and one exposed and one is non-exposed. Very interestingly that this MDB treated rat, they are not producing any gastric ulcer. This is a normal rat, it's a gastric ulcer. And this is the molecule what we are using, they are preventing this type of gastric ulcer here. So we propose to the world that we have to generate a molecule which will go inside mitochondria and scavenge electrons because of defective electron transport chain. So summary is that during stress, first brain is affected, and this first brain liberated corticosteroid, and corticosteroid then activate the mitochondrial glucocorticoid receptors located on the surface, and glucocorticoid receptors on the surface will then allow the electron transport chain not to function because electron transport chain proteins are defective because of mental stress. As a consequence, intramitochondrial superoxide is generated and mitochondrial dynamics shifts toward enhanced fission to induce gastric injury and mitochondrial blocking of excess fission and selective scavenging of mitochondrial superoxide corrects mitochondrial abnormalities. So these are the molecules we tested: olanzapine, diazepam, Ru48, mitotempo and MDB1. These are the kind of molecules we are proposing to the world, and in conjunction with the consumption of antioxidant, only these are the therapy to prevent stress related disorders, whatever the reason. So what will happen? So the positive factors, so summarize here. All these things are positive factors: stress, anxiety, cigarette smoking, burn injury, endogenous damage, COVID. These are all creating mental stress, and this mental stress is allowing to accumulate reactive oxygen species inside mitochondria and thereby damaging the whole and formation of things. So acute mental stress induces mitochondrial bioenergetic crisis and hyperfusion along with available mitochondria, activation of GRC-12 phase overall. Thus, correction of mitochondrial pathology will be realistically acted by designing mitochondrial targeted tranquilizer to protect stress-related because of disorder injury. So these are the persons, they help me for doing my experiments. So I am thankful to all. Photon called energy packet. These photons are trapped by a molecule called chlorophyll only by plant into a product called food. Human being use this food for survival. After consumption of food, the whole photon which was entrapped in food again converted into a molecule called electron-rich molecule. This electron-rich molecule then donates electron to the mitochondrial electron transport chain. This electron transport chain allows electron to move, and this movement will generate a force called proton motive force. This force will ultimately form adenosine triphosphate called the energy. And because of ATP, we are talking, we are smiling, we are thinking everything. So, every day, why we should pay respect to sun and plant? Because without sun and without plant, the whole human society will not survive. And that's why we used to call sun is the source of all energies. And the molecule, the subcellular bodies present in cell, what is producing ATP, it's coming from mother, not from father. So that's why we should be very respectful to mother, because of mother's mitochondria we are producing ATP. Keep it in your mind. And space is nothing that is generated in the first brain, we used to call brain, and the first brain then generate one kind of molecule called corticosterone. This stress hormone then activate mitochondria which we receive from mother, and that machine called bioenergy machine, and in that machine in cell ATP is produced. So during stress, this corticosterone is affecting the mitochondria not to produce ATP. It's clear to you all? You ask me any question, anything, any related to anything. Any teacher can also ask me. Yeah.
Sir, myself, myself Vipin Kapoor, one teacher of this institution. Sir, humble to you, sir. I have one question that ATP is a synthesis by chemosynthesis theory, and by the help of PM motive force. So while the other molecules, other nucleides are not synthesized like GTP, like CTP, only ATP is to be synthesized by the chemosynthesis theory. So
Yeah,
this is my question.
GTP they are synthesized.
Yes, GTP also synthesized.
Yeah, absolutely, but this is highly feasible because the phosphate bond present in adenosine triphosphate is easy to liberate and it can produce huge energy rather than G.
Okay, sir.
So that's why it is feasible.
In all the cases, we are just assuming that ATP is take place major role.
Major.
But other nucleotide does not
Because
take
it's
place
difficult
only
to-
for
because it's difficult to chop the phosphate bond from GTP.
yes,
Other nucleic phosphates.
yes, yes.
So that's why.
Only for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
And in each day, if your weight is 40 kilogram, still 70 kilogram of ATP is produced per day. You think it can be scientific, but still your weight is not increased. Because all the ATP what produced per day is consumed by you. So in some believe that if you take less food, your lifespan will be increased for longevity. Because if you take more food, more electron-rich molecules are produced, more mitochondria are in function. So mitochondria are becoming targeted and very much tired. They are decaying. So if you take small food, so more electron-rich molecules will be generated and mitochondria will survive. So you don't have to take huge food. The more you consume food, your aging will be started very fast. Yeah.
Sir, please tell something. What are the preventive steps students can take to avoid stress?
Yeah. Because stress, I think it's not necessarily allowed. But stress should be essential because without stress one cannot be there. But we know we have to level how much stress we endure. So the first step is that according to the psychological study that give up the place where from stress is originated. Suppose from this place we are getting stress, from this person I am getting stress, because of this situation is creating stress. The first principle they are talking, stay away from the origin of the stress. Second thing is that try to consume huge amount of fresh fruits. The more you consume fresh fruits, particularly colored fruits, because here is abundant dragon fruits. It contains a pink color, say lemon, orange colors, yellow colors. So these are the things, all antioxidants. Suppose we are exposed to stress. So what it will do? It will generate electrons, which will affect the body. So molecule which is scattering electrons will be nice. So avoid the origin of the stress. Second thing, consume fresh food with high phenol content. That's present in the fresh foods. Then they will be nice for that. So these are the two things. Otherwise you cannot. But then we have to last what doctors are prescribing. They use tranquilizers. They use sleep. Because if they use sleep like alprazolam, diazepam, clonazepam, so then what will happen? The first pain will not pass you stress. So that is forcefully medication, but that is not allowed because you will die. These are three things we are adapting right now.
So just now you told us the three ways how to reduce stress. My question is, what is the role of medication to reduce stress?
Absolutely, meditation is nothing but tranquilizing your first rate. So the more, so if your mind is with unrest, you cannot go for meditation. So that if you just away from the place and start meditation going there, suppose stress is originated here at morning guard. So then if you start meditation here will be difficult. Possible, but difficult. But if you just stay away from this place, maybe some other place, and start meditation, stress will continue to reduce. The first way to leave the place first. And again I can tell you, another way, people are like psychobiologists, they are talking, mix with a person of high caliber. Suppose in Sanskrit we call satsang. During stress, if you mix with a great person and pass time by chatting, to keep away of your mind, you will be free from stress for the time. So that is also a practice. He is interested to ask you.
Sir, for every stress, mitochondria is important. So, how to keep mitochondria healthy, sir? How to keep mitochondria healthy?
How to keep mitochondria healthy? I told you mitochondria is unhealthy because of excessive generation of electrons. Because electron transport is not possible. Electrons are leaking, and electron when leak interacts with molecule oxygen forming superoxide. So inside mitochondria, because of stress, is producing huge amount of superoxide. So we need a molecule which will go inside mitochondria and scatter superoxide. These molecules are called antioxidant. So that's why for management of stress and keeping mitochondria healthy, we have to block stress generation. We have to prevent the interaction of stress hormone with mitochondria, or we have to consume some molecules which will go inside, thereby prevent the generation of superoxide. Or what will happen? We have to have some changes in mitochondria. What body is thinking about by enhancing mitochondrial fusion. That is the last step.
Give some example of molecule, sir.
Yeah, so molecules, what I can tell you, recently we have identified one molecule from macrolea called homocle. This molecular molecule is going inside mitochondria and there is skeleton. The whole world is looking for such kind of molecule called mitokinase because stress is impossible to stay away of it. So that's why they are called mitochondrial or subcellular tranquilizer. Rather tranquilizing your first brain. They are designed this kind of molecules called mitokinase. They are all in clinical trials right now.
Thank you, sir.
But at least I am happy that you understood the whole bit of science. It's really amazing. Anyone, I think? Please, you just ask him because you know you are young, green. So that the more you ask me questions, I will get raw material to start my future work. Ask me some questions so that I will not be able to give you answer. Yeah.
Hello sir.
Yeah.
So I have a small question. My question is that how many amount of ATP a man consumes per day? And
I told you na 70 kilogram of ATP produced.
it is produced, but how many amount of ATP is consumed?
Almost all. You cannot store it in that.
Which organ consume most?
Not in organs, all organs. Suppose you are running some metabolic reaction that requires it. You are talking to activate cell now. For nerve action, they are making energy. You are looking at an object that need energy. Your body without ATP cannot work. So that's why you know you need ATP. And ATP produced is consumed. And you know about 70 kilogram of ATP, almost 70% of ATP is consumed by brain only. Because brain, when it works, suppose you are calculating something, it's taking huge ATP. So you are making something, drawing something, you are taking huge ATP. Suppose you know after taking full meal, people are asking you know take rest. The reason is that after full moon, the blood is involved, all blood is coming from the body to the stomach to absorb food. So at that time, brain is not having any blood circulation. If you consume huge food, you will be tired. That's why after consumption of huge food, not to allow the brain away from oxygen, you have to take rest after. Then you start doing this. So brain is consuming oxygen and producing huge amount of ATP for functioning. And this is a metabolic headquarters. Brain is the headquarters of the whole body. So that's why it consumes 70% of the 70 kilogram of ATP per day. You think of it.
Sir, another question is if I am solving math problem, sir, and I have gone to field and perform many exercise. So where the ATP consumption is greater, sir, in solving a math problem or in exercise?
In exercise, your math is also involved. You cannot stay without your brain. Suppose you are doing some experiment. Who is instructing you go to this direction, make like this, hand is moved like this thing. Who is instructing you? For that it needs energy. You cannot. So whatever the things you are doing, brain is always utilizing energy. Even you are exercising also. So brain is giving instruction, that's why muscle construct. So muscle then construction is consuming it. So whole body is all the time.
Many things which are scientific to reduce stress. So please enlighten us the other ways that we can use to reduce stress in our day-to-day lives, like self-confidence, exercise. Which are the other things?
Again and repeating. Easiest way to stay away from stress. Identify the reason for stress. Suppose some objection have given us, some person, some place, whatever the thing is, some idea. Please switch off that first. Either you can change the place from there or go to some good person to discuss. That's called satsang. This is the physical. Then what will happen? Keep your mind not to be obsessed with the stress. Do something. What you are talking, go for exercise. That is also away from it. Read some good book. That will keep your mind from that, or lead up the habit that stress is inevitable. So I don't care about the stress. So it's a psychosomatic attitude should be readdressed and simultaneously we analyze it is originated because of your desire, of your some anxiety. So you have to think of it, you have to design by yourself, the answer is with you. And last thing, what doctors, what we try to state that sometimes the anxiety depression is such a severe, all things will not work. So forcefully we add some tranquilizers like sleep inducing molecule. If you go for sleep, the mental stress you cannot have good sleep. Highly correlated. And if you have good sleep by any means, suppose doing human exercise, body will not allow then if you go for sleep, then you can have a stressless life. So what will affect you? You are best. You are the judge of that. Got the point? And very good way that if you have a very stressful life, you go to have a very good food. Then you will mind your business. You are also prescribing like this. Have a good food, so then you will not think of the stressful conditions.
Another question. Nowadays, it was a sensitive topic that depression. So, what is the main reason behind depression and how can we overcome it?
It's the same thing I'm talking. Depression means becoming active, and it's like anxiety coming from the depression. Like when you're sad, stress, anxiety, depressions, they're very much interlinked. So you have to identify the reason for the depression. There are a lot of antidepressant molecules. One molecule I can tell you, that's called serotonin. That's amino acid tryptophan. It's called 5-hydroxyserotonin. This serotonin molecule should be in the drug in a perfect level. If it is elevated, then it can go to kill anyone. If it is reduced to the basal level, you will be so subdued that even your home is under fire, you will say, okay, good, very nice thing. So the serotonin level is controlled by the neural surge, neural activation, which part of the brain you are activating to liberate serotonin. If you think nice, if you think honest, if you do good jobs, you always think good, then serotonin will not be produced highly. So your body will get tranquil. These are the molecules called mind-forming molecules. You have to understand which mind-forming molecules is disturbing you so that you are under depression.
Especially class 11th and 12th, the speed will help you in your biology as well as in physical education classes. So I thank once again Professor Dr. Udoy Bandyopadhyay for enriching our knowledge.